In last week's episode, I shared my 2 cents on how to fake the anamorphic look on a budget. This week, we're gonna do precisely the same thing, except for this time, we won't fake it. After watching 7,000 reviews about it, I thought it was time to get myself this lens, the Sirui 50mm t2.9 full-frame anamorphic lens. This video is not a review of this lens. As I've just said, you can find a ton of reviews on YouTube. This video is about the process involved in working with this lens and with anamorphic lenses in general as a solo filmmaker. This lens is beautiful and the quality is proportional to its weight. It has character, delivering a special look to your pictures. But the process involved in filming with it is something you may want to consider before smashing that buy now button. First, it's a manual focus lens and it's not meant for taking stills. If you're a run-and-gun filmmaker, you know that pulling focus while shooting isn't easy at all. It can be done, but it requires a lot of time and several takes, especially if your subjects are constantly moving. Second, shooting with an anamorphic lens is only possible if you have an external monitor. This lens has a 1.6 compression factor, and if you try to frame your pictures on your camera's LCD screen, you're going to mess up the compositions. My workaround for these 2 inconveniences are the DJI running 3D follows focus system and an external monitor. The follow focus system does a remarkable job at pulling focus automatically. It's fast, incredibly fast, precise and reliable. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a tutorial on how it's hooked up to your camera. I had to buy a second external monitor to help me de-squeeze my compositions in real time. This monitor allows you to de-squeeze your footage with the lens saying 1.6 compression ratio. Most other monitors don't do 1.6, however, you can get away with a 1.5 de-squeeze ratio, which is the closest to 1.6, but not enough if you're a perfectionist like me. On top of everything, you can't use the 3D follows focus system without the DJI RS2. So, when you put everything together, you got yourself a very functional but quite hefty rig, which will create a $3,000 hole in your bank account. Now that you're all rigged up, you're gonna look really cool and professional, but that comes with costs and sacrifices. Shooting with this heavy setup for a whole day is gonna hurt. But let's think positively. You may be able to cancel your gym membership and save yourself some bucks on that. Are we done? Of course, we're not. If you edit your own footage, you're gonna have to change the workflow on your editing software. I mean, it's nothing too complicated, but definitely something to consider. I'll show you the settings in Premiere Pro because that is the software I use, but you can easily apply them in Final Cut, etc. Once you import your footage in Premiere Pro, this is what it will look like before you de-squeeze it. Assuming that you're shooting in 4K, open the sequence settings and set the vertical size to 1368 pixels. After, select your clip. Open the Effects Controls panel and set the motion values precisely as shown on the screen. For your reference, I'll drop a downloadable PDF on the description with these settings to refer to. When you're done with your editing, unless you're shooting for the big screen, this is what your footage will look like on a 16:9 device. At the beginning of this video, I told you that this episode would cover the same topic as last week, an anamorphic look on a budget, where I showed you how you can fake that anamorphic look with a $100 lens filter. The only difference is that this week we are shooting with an actual anamorphic lens and a setup that costs almost $3,000. Why is this episode still called anamorphic look on a budget then? We're not comparing an actual anamorphic lens with a filter this time. That wouldn't be fair. We are comparing a budget anamorphic lens with other anamorphic lenses that can cost over 50 grand. That for the lens alone. Besides, you wouldn't be able to put this lens on your DSLR camera. To get a similar setup for this lens, camera, monitor, gimbal, you're looking at a rig worth over $250K easily. You can now understand why I consider this $3,000 rig a budget solution to shoot anamorphic. Are there differences between shooting with an average camera with a 50 grand anamorphic lens and a setup like this? Of course. But the average viewer would hardly notice them, and I can guarantee that the quality you get from this setup would not disappoint you. Should you get this lens? The answer is, it depends. Are you shooting YouTube videos? Then probably not. Unless, like me, you shoot short films that you upload onto YouTube. In that case, if your film requires that particular anamorphic look, this is an awesome setup. Be aware though, if you decided to buy this lens, you're gonna have to step your game up a little. It's a much more complicated process. As for me, I will definitely use this lens on a short film sometime soon, and I'll familiarize myself with it a little more until then. Coming next is some footage I took with this setup. That's it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, share your thoughts and questions in the comments if you have any, and I'll see you next week.
Staring out the window on a cloudy morning, trying to lick our wounds while the tea is warming. Sometimes it's like a bird that's never shipped out. Sometimes you go around on a never-ending rail. This week has been a mess, but I'm gonna tell you, we're a bit at work, gonna make it brand new. We're gonna plot a way for a comeback. We all need some time, and I promise you that. I promise you that. I promise you that. I know this can take a while, but it's gonna be alright, girl. And if it won't be today, I'm the shoulder you can cry on. So cry if you wanna cry. Small rainbows will fill your eyes. You cry if you wanna cry. And time will be on your side. Maybe with the drops lost in the ocean, drifters following the stream's emotion. Riders of the night with no destination, don't ever know the name of our future station. We are lost romantics in a world that's frozen. We gonna be the heroes of our own novel. We just need some time. Oh, I know this can take a while, but it's gonna be alright, girl.